Oh, welcome back to Pirate Talk Radio. My pirate bitches. Nah, that shouldn't be how we that no, no, no. No, no, no. Pirate Talk Radio, the show where I, your host, Davrim, only share positive feedback on the game Sea of Thieves. Where I only ass kiss the people who clearly know how to do their job. Yeah, just hit the music.
As far north as Marauder's Arch, as far south as Booty Isle, as far east as Ruby's Fall, and as far west as Mermaid's Hideaway, Pirate Talk Radio proudly presents the most in-your-face Sea of Thieves podcast on the waves. And now, broadcasting from his mother's basement, the biggest idiot to ever pick up a cutlass, your host, Davrim.
Well, it's been a hot minute. Thank you for those of you who are clearly watching or listening now. Yeah, it's been a hot minute, and to say that this episode was the hardest episode I've ever had to write would be an understatement. And it isn't because of my new job. It isn't because of things going on in this fucking world that is disintegrating around us, specifically in the United States where I'm from. It isn't because of the 2 months of volunteer work that I did for my local high school that I do every year. Yeah, I've been busy, but so is everyone else. And that's not why that it's taken so long to get this episode out. Quite frankly, I've written and deleted more lines of script, thrown out the script, retyped the script more times than I can ever count. I didn't want another episode filled with rage, even though I know some people wanted that. I didn't want to sit here and criticize Rare, verbally destroying them again and again. I've done that enough, and rightfully so, over the years. And with the launch of Season 15, and now that we're in Season 16, I had some enjoyment in Season 15. I was looking forward to Season 16 with this new Reaper's rule and this idea of the Reapers. I was excited. I was ready to be positive. I was ready to sing their praise. I was ready to strip off my clothes and dance naked in the rain. That's a positive thing, right? Yeah. And as Season 15 went on and went on and went on, the game got worse. It got extremely stale, and at times, quite frankly, just didn't work. So today, we're going to try to keep it positive. I'm going to talk about what I loved about Season 15. And then I'm going to leave it in the pit of hell that it deserves. Not the worst pit of hell. We've had seasons far worse than Season 15. You all know what they are. But I'm going to leave that with the comments from the community team that the best update in Sea of Thieves history was fireworks and stools. Yeah, if you missed that episode of the official Sea of Thieves podcast when Christina said that her favorite update was stools and fireworks. 7 fucking years of this game, And I understand that she has not been around at the studio. I understand she hasn't played the game for 7 years. But 7 goddamn years of this game, and the best you could come up with was fireworks and stools. That literally tells me everything I need to know about the community team, which I've exhausted my ability to criticize that team. Because, we're not going to get into that. They clearly are paid too much for what they do. In fact, the quality of work that community team does should be volunteer work at this point, because that's I'm not putting money into the Emporium to help pay their salaries because they're goddamn awful at their job. So we're going to talk about season 15, and I'm going to leave it there. I'm going to leave it there. And then we're going to get into 16. And we're going to talk about, I'm not going to talk about, there's a lot of things that have happened since the last episode. And some of those things we're going to address today. Some of those things we'll address next week. Yeah. I'm not happy. And I've not been happy before. And I've ranted and screamed and yelled into this microphone, and people have commented, yeah, woohoo, or go fuck yourself, because they think Sea of Thieves is the best game ever, and we should treat the developers as if they are God's gift to programming. And I'm tired of it. I'm tired of the broken promises. I'm tired of the bullshit. I am tired, quite frankly, exhausted with the words that come out of every one of those people at that studio's mouth when they're on the camera or on social media. It's exhausting. They are running this game into the ground. PlayStation. Great idea to launch it. Awesome idea. Get it on another platform. A console, just like the Xbox. Fantastic idea. That player base is basically gone. Steam. Open it up to more people on PC who might not pay for an Xbox subscription. Great, that's awesome. That community is almost gone. They had a perfect opportunity with a brand new Switch console. Everyone wanted it on Switch. It would have been a great game on Switch. I don't want it on Switch. You want to know why? They destroyed their Steam community. The big hype that they got on Steam, they fucked that up because they could not keep the game functional. They've screwed up the PlayStation. I don't want it on Switch because I don't want to see another great thing that they could capitalize on just fall apart. And now with the troubles that Microsoft is in and the layoffs that Microsoft's doing across the board at studios, not just at Rare, but everywhere, they couldn't do it when they had the staff, which was still small. They couldn't do it with Microsoft's full backing. And now Microsoft is making cuts, which does impact Rare. They haven't done it yet. It's been 7 years. I don't see how they're going to do it now. And the words coming out of their mouth, and we're going to talk about a little bit of it in the show, I do not see the light at the end of the tunnel anymore. The light at the end of the Sea of Thieves tunnel is just pitch black and gone. I love this game. I love the experience that it gives when it works. The problem is it works less than 50% of the time properly. So we're going to dive into this. But you know who isn't broken and has never done anything degenerate to end up in the pit of hell like season 15 did? Well, I mean, I know some of these people and they're degenerates, but that's beside the point. That's beside the point. But that is the glorious and notorious patrons that have been so wonderful, kept in contact with me, communicated with me through this time. Hey, when's the next episode? Look, bear with me. I feel like I'm like Steven Spielberg. I'm not Steven Spielberg, but I feel like I'm Steven Spielberg, and people just handed me the script to Green Lantern, and I'm like, what the fuck is this? And just threw it out so many times. That movie never existed, by the way. If you think there's a Green Lantern movie out there, you're wrong, and I'll die on that hill. But thank you to Skamelt 666, L Cute, I Geffus, Big Bad Pad, and Jamer Gamer. Thank you very much again for your continuous support, even in these dark times and lack of content. I appreciate it very, 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 very much. You have no idea how much your words and reaching out to me, sending me DMs and Patreon messages, even though I'm horrible at checking messages, I do see them from time to time, and thank you for that. So season 15. For me, season 15 started amazing. Was there a lot of content to do? Not really. I don't fish in Sea of Thieves. Hell, I don't fish in nearly any video game. But you know what's fun? Killing giant angry sharks. That was fun. That was content that I could get down with. It was challenging. It was fun. The sharks were beautiful. The music was on point. It wasn't easy. The 2 new ancient Megs were beautiful models, and though not perfect, their mechanics were clean. That's what I loved about them. They were clean mechanics. It was a challenging fight, maybe too hard for the general population of Sea of Thieves, but it was a challenging encounter with clean working mechanics. The battle was a challenge, especially the bigger ship you were on. For many people I talked to, it was too hard. And that to me is fine. It wasn't impossible. I'm sure they're going to nerf the shit out of them. But I liked the challenge. I still like the challenge. To this day, if I have the chance to do a Meg hunt, not the Meg hunt, horrible voyage. The ancient Megs at grade 5 Hunter's Call. I will take them every single time. Between the giant ass fire farts that dropped all of your mass, punctured holes in your ship, and set your wood on fire like you have an STD, you desperately need cream to do most anything, to the electrifying bite of the giant coral Meg. These 2 beasts added a challenge. They added beauty. And it was just absolutely fun. For 3 months of this season, I just killed them. That's all I did. I just kept killing them. And I had a blast. As the season progressed, and the game went from bad to worse in terms of performance, I always knew I could log in, go find me that giant fart fish, or the giant zappy fish, and I could have a fun challenge by myself or with my friends. The boars, they were a fun little addition, but the Megs were incredible. The boars had issues where you chuck a spear at them, they don't hit properly. Historical weapon accuracy in spears, not a thing, folks, not a thing. Like, you either hit with a spear or you don't. Like, if the spear travels through the creature, it hits them. And those are big spears, right? That little pig, that little boar should not withstand a spear to the head. But, sometimes it takes 3 or like 4 or 5 shots of the Eye of Reach. Just saying. Dumb. Anytime that I see one of these Megs, I go after it. I don't care about the boars. We go and kill them because I have some commendation hounds on my crew that need to put check boxes by things. I used to be like that, and I gave up because of the poor design of commendations, which were getting better, by the way, until season 16. My crew, in fact, oftentimes now hates me because anytime that I see that flaming fin or that coral fin on the horizon, I'm like, oh, let's go do that. And they're like, oh, not again. No, let's go do that. I want to do the Ancient Megs more than anything else. But we were promised 3. And we've gotten 2. Where's the third one? We're now a season later and we haven't seen it or heard anything else about it. Season 15 died a slow and painful death after a very exciting start. Servers suffered issues with merchant crates, spears, diving being broken, causing hourglass to be disabled for the majority of the season. It's only recently been turned back on with the launch of Season 16, which, again, we're in the final update of Season 16 at this point. Unfortunately, it continues the narrative of Rare saying they're working on improving quality and focused on the health of the game, but instead poisoning it and letting it waste away month after month and season after season. I know I always take heat for quoting Steam charts, but recently a viewer of mine, and this is what I referred to earlier, on Twitch, brought up the massive exodus on the PS5, so I just pulled up the Steam charts. And I pulled up the public play, the public PlayStation charts, which, by the way, Xbox doesn't release their stats, which is why everyone gives me shit about it. But PlayStation does, and so does Steam, because they're good, transparent. Well, I won't say good. They're more transparent than Xbox. The charts aren't pretty, folks. And I know I will hear it again in the comments. I know I will get the hate mail. I know. I get it. Xbox does not share information as far as their player base. And the majority of Sea of Thieves players do play on Xbox, whether it be on the console or the PC through the Game Pass. But as I've said time and time again, it's not about the actual numbers. It's about trends. And if PlayStation is trending down, Steam is trending down, dwindling even, then Xbox has to be trending down as well. Maybe not dwindling, but the seas sure do feel more empty now than ever. But wait, we have a grand idea. A great, fantastic idea. It's going to save Sea of Thieves. Just you wait. We're going to put it on Battle.net. And we're going to charge you again for it. I bought it on Xbox. I pay for Game Pass. I bought it on Steam. I didn't buy it on PlayStation because I don't have one. I am fucking not buying it on Battle.net. It's a disgrace to players that you put limited time cosmetics attached to a game that they've purchased time and time again. Cosmetics, the only differentiator in this game aside from skill, and you tie it exclusively to buying a new version of the game. And they're cool cosmetics. The Battle.net cosmetics are cool. I've been a Blizzard fan for a very long time, but this is absolutely ridiculous. Just like they did with Steam, just like they did with PlayStation, they did it with Battle.net. I don't expect much different. I'm sure they got a nice chunk of cash in the game, which they pissed away with that communications team. But it's ridiculous. The only differentiator is cosmetics in this game, and people like to collect them. Hell, when they do the stupid things with the gummy worms and the Oreos all over the world, there are people out there buying a shit ton of unhealthy foods just to send codes to their friends across seas because they're exclusive to one region or another. People give a damn about cosmetics, and Sea of Thieves consistently gives the middle finger to players, not only in their broken promises of making the game better, but also by charging players time and time again for cool cosmetics linked to purchasing the fucking game yet again. And by the way, I know people who have bought the game on every single platform. I wish I had that kind of disposable money. It's sad to see, but at the end of the day, Rare continues with poor leadership, poor quality in their development, and overall, a broken game with stale content. They have finally, in my mind, laid Sea of Thieves down in its coffin. And though the nails have not been completely hammered in yet, the nails are nearby on a table, and the hammer is sitting right there with them. The question is, will Rare finally wake up after 7 years and rise out of that coffin like The Undertaker in WWE did for, 3 decades? Or will they proceed to put those nails in the coffin? I don't know. I hope they figure out how to rise up. But quite frankly, I've lost hope. I've truly lost hope that Rare has the ability to guide this game forward. They canceled Everwild, a game that they've spent years and I don't know how much money working, and split their team to work on Everwild and Sea of Thieves at the same time. They legitimately hindered the amount of people that they had working on Sea of Thieves to work on a project that has now been terminated with no return on that investment. Whoever at Rare thought it was a great idea should not have a job anymore. Whatever group made that decision at Rare to move forward with Everwild should not have a job anymore. Does anyone remember the movie The Social Network? It was actually, I had a friend that went to, he's passed away now, but he went to Harvard at the same time as Mark Zuckerberg, and said, though it is Hollywood-fied, that is pretty accurate of Mark Zuckerberg. And there's a scene in that movie where Jesse Eisenberg, I think his name is, plays Mark Zuckerberg, and he's being asked questions by a lawyer. And he looks as if he's not paying attention. I think he's like doodling on a piece of paper. And the lawyer asks, Mr. Zuckerberg, do you think I deserve your attention? And in response, Mark Zuckerberg says, you have part of my attention. You have the minimum amount. Why do I say that quote? Because there is a person at at Rare that has been an integral part of not only how much I love the game, but what the game to me is and what the game was. Mike Chapman is a fantastic human being. He's a great storyteller. He's a great mind. But Mike Chapman has lost my attention. Rare Studios has my minimum attention because of how they're treating the game and how they're treating the players. Recently, well, at the time I wrote this section of the script, so it's not that recent. But one of the most recent Sea of Thieves podcasts and dev updates, the team was sitting around the table and they were talking story and lore. And they were going through 7 years of story, and they were going through the different iterations from tall tales to limited time adventures to mysteries to now whatever the fuck they think storytelling is now, of just leaving random bits for people to find on tables. And that quote spoke to me of, you have part of my attention, the very minimum part. Because the thing that I fell in love with in Sea of Thieves, not only could I be a pirate and tell my own story, it had compelling characters. It had a compelling story through the first set of Tall Tales, through Shores of Gold, through Heart of Fire, the Talking Head of Flameheart. Hell, even Pirates of the Caribbean was a pretty damn good story to play through. Monkey Island was... Look, if you're a Monkey Island fan, I'm sure it was awesome, but to me, Monkey Island was a waste of time. It just was a waste of time to me. It didn't play into Sea of Thieves. They tried to play it in with the cursed Blade of Souls. It just didn't work. It just didn't work. And now, where's Jack Sparrow? Where's the payoff now of Pirates of the Caribbean? Where's the payoff now of Monkey Island? Where is that payoff now, years later? LeChuck's gone. Jack Sparrow's gone. Where's the payoff? It's just like so many other storylines that they've started and never finished. Hell, I thought when they were in an adventure cadence, when they were in the true good adventure cadence, they were driving the story forward. And I get the failure on their part to design something that new players that were coming in that missed the first couple of adventures would never be able to experience that. I understand that was a failure, but they shouldn't have taken the entire adventure concept and say, hey, this is a failure. Now we don't have Tall Tales. Now we don't have adventures. Thank God we don't have mysteries, but that's another topic for another day. But we don't have anything that's driving these characters forward. We don't have anything that's compelling characters, and we haven't had it for a long time. A long time. Oh, you introduced the Burning Blade. Cool. What's the story? Flameheart's back? Oh, yeah, he's sitting in that chair. What's he doing? Oh, yep, he's still sitting. But his ship's at... He's still sitting. Oh, there's new skeletal encampments. Oh, there's an orb. We've got to get the orb. Why? Well, Flameheart's back and he wants the orb. Why? There's no story there. It's not compelling. It's not exciting. Nothing's driving it forward. It's just things to do things. And it's depressing. They talked about these grand stories that they've done in the past, the amazing characters that they've created. They talked about what they want to do and the journey they want to take us on. But I constantly ask myself, when? 7 years has passed, and only a few times can I say that they've put out a story at a rate and a pace that keeps me engaged. The Tall Tales did it. The Adventures did it. A period of time when the story was flowing and connected. When it felt like the world was alive and that it felt like stories and these characters were growing and we were learning about them and we were part of this world and part of this fight. It felt so real and alive. It was like I'm living in a book or a movie. If they cared so much about the story, they put out an entire podcast about this. And I listen to them. And every time Mike speaks, I hang on every single word that he says because I think he's a creative genius. But the studio is just lost. And I ask this question to myself. If they cared so much about the story, why did they outsource the making of a lore video on their number one villain, Captain Flameheart, to Captain Falcor? Not an employee at Rare. Sea of Thieves partner. Lore hound of the game. People have critiques about him and how he does things, but it's a form of entertainment and a form of giving you lore of the game in his style. But if they're so passionate about this story, if they cared so much about this story, why did they outsource it to someone outside the studio? Now, don't take this the wrong way. I love Captain Falcor. I hope to meet him someday. But he embellished some of the story in his typical Falcor way. And people didn't like that. I watched it. I thought it was okay. It wasn't spectacular. It wasn't a Microsoft Studio level production. But he's one guy. And they outsourced it to one of their partners to create a lore video about their game when they have an entire story team. They have an outstanding creative team there. And one of the best production teams and art teams in gaming today. Why do you need to outsource it? Were you too busy with your shitty presentation at the Xbox showcase? And your trailer for season 17, which, by the way, does not excite me at all. I don't think it excited many people. But we'll get to that showcase and that shitty trailer another time. They have all this talent at Rare Studios. They don't have good leadership. But when you have all that talent, how could someone sit in a room and say, yeah, let's outsource the production and let's outsource our lore video on our number one villain to a YouTuber. Love him to death. Let's just outsource it. Yep, outsource it. Don't let him put it on his channel though. We need the YouTube ad revenue. So can make sure Falcor put it on our channel. Falcor, our channel, please. Thank you. Appreciate it. Saved us a lot of time and money. Thank you. It's ridiculous. I have been able to get back into streaming for those of you who have been tuning in. Thank you very much. Twitch.tv/Davrim or YouTube.com/@DavrimTV on most weekdays and on the Pirate Talk Radio YouTube channel when we sail on Saturdays with the crew. I've been playing season 16. The open of season 16 was not their worst seasonal open, but it was hot garbage. There were more beard errors during the opening weekend of season 16 than neck beards at a Magic the Gathering conference. But I will give credit where credit was due. They poisoned season 15 and let it die. Season 16 launched like a turd out of your butt when you've had too much fiber. It smelled bad. It didn't flush. But they saw it. And they responded the fastest I've ever seen them respond to an issue. Normally, they wait till the next week. Normally, they wait till the next patch. This time, they jumped on it. Within the next day of launching season 16, they had emergency maintenance. Beard errors were less. Unfortunately, there's always a catch. There's always a catch when they do something right. The beard errors may have went down, but unfortunately the servers were not good. In fact, The first PlayStation I had 1 week after the season 16, or it wasn't 1 week, I think it was a couple days after season 16, after the emergency patch. I had a 5-hour play session, and I had a constant reminder in my upper left corner that I had an unstable connection. Mind you, this was on all my crew members' screens, regardless of which server we dive to, which server we change to, North America or Europe. But for the most part, it looked like it was just an icon bug, and it just wanted to live up there in the corner of the screen and piss me off. Because for the most part, the servers didn't feel like they were bad. But that icon was a constant reminder to think about it and notice everything. And there were a couple issues, some instances of desync and rubber banding. But in general, until we entered PvP, the servers felt pretty good. Pretty good in Sea of Thieves terms. Not pretty good for a AAA gaming studio. In our first play session under Season 16, we focused on the new Reaper voyage. It was fun. It was cool. I like how they take on the Reaper marking. When you're on the voyage, you have the Reaper flag up. I like how they force that. I don't like that they take my flag down and they put up the old school Reaper flag, but I can get over that. I'm okay with that. I take the cosmetics and the look of my ship very seriously, so when you fuck with my cosmetics, I get pissed off. But I also understand not everyone who may want to do that voyage have the Reaper emissary unlocked already. So I get it. Put the old Reaper thing up. It encourages PvP through both the commendations and being on the being marked on the map, which is what the Reaper faction is supposed to be. Now, let me tell you how I think it could have been implemented. I think the way that I'm about to explain how I would like to have seen this voyage implemented will lead to the same outcome. The Reaper's mark itself has always confused new players, and usually it leads them to being slaughtered and not knowing that the flag marks them, and invites conflict. And I think they could make that a little bit more clear for new players on changing the flag. I feel like if they really wanted to do a revamp of Reapers, and I know they have warnings in the game when you put emissary flags up and things like that, but I think there could have been a better way to do this, and that is to slowly introduce players to Reapers before auto-flagging them on the map. They could have locked this particular voyage behind unlocking the emissary. So the only way that you could load up this specific voyage is to achieve the appropriate level in Reapers to unlock the flag. Pledge to the Reapers, then you can do the voyage. You're still marked on the map. Doesn't fuck with my cosmetics. And people are introduced to the Reaper bones. This would give new or unaware players time to understand what being a Reaper means before marking them for death out of nowhere. For you wrestling fans, since apparently we're making wrestling matches or references today, like you basically just set the players up for an RKO out of nowhere. Those of you out there who listen have no idea anything about wrestling. I'm sorry. I've been a fan for a long time. The overall flow of the voyage, I felt, was pretty clean. You find the Skelly Bros. You find 3 dig sites. You play with some wood, turning the totem poles. You kill some ghosts. You find a coffin. You take a skull. gives decent rep and gold overall. It's pretty simple to do. It encourages the heart of the Reaper, which is risk versus reward through PvP. My main issue with this voyage is not the voyage itself. It's in fact the design behind the commendations that they introduced for the voyage. I talked in previous episodes the change in direction they're doing with their commendation design. I think it's fantastic. I think it's great. They were bringing those stupid grinds for no apparent reason down to a reasonable task, which is reasonable for people who have a nice play session and are focusing on something. It's not 25 Reaper chests. Oh, next season it's 25 more. Oh, next season it's 25 more. Oh, next season it's 25 more. Even though before that started, I probably had over 200 Reaper chests. But you know what? That data, it's clearly not there for them to look at. And that's been a beef of mine for a long time. Sea of Thieves' design for commendations being active and interesting forever has never been true. They haven't been interesting. They haven't been very active. Like, you just grind to grind for most of the commendation. Until, season 15 had a couple good ones. I think we had a couple, and I don't remember season 14, but we had a couple trends of some decent commendations that made sense, were fun, they were engaging, they were interesting, and they weren't a grind for no grind. But now we're back into old school Sea of Thieves grind mindset with dependencies. They designed these new Reaper voyages commendations to have dependencies, such as stealing skulls once you've achieved the skeletal curse. Now, I know some of you out there, you love Hourglass and you've had your skeletal curse probably since it first came out. Some of you have slowly worked on your skeletal curse over months and months. Here's the thing. The game is already a piece of shit to play most of the time. I'm not going to play the worst period competition period battle royale period PvP period system period ever created period exclamation mark. Hourglass is horrible. Though I've heard the improvements that they have made to evening out the skill levels between players is better, but it still comes down to how many players you have, and there's a lot of sweats that play Hourglass, which is fine. That's where the sweaty sweats should be playing. But me, if I played League of Legends, I would be in wood tier. For those of you who have never played League of Legends, that doesn't exist. It is it's right? And that's what Sea of Thieves has created. They have created an MMR system which doesn't fucking work. So when I get into a battle, let's say when I'm playing, there's only a couple people in the queue. Instead of making me queue for a long period of time, which, by the way, I'm okay with if it's a fair match, I get queued with Sweat Stain over there, who's like, shoot the Eye of Reach right into a pistol shot, you're dead, you're sunk. That kind of stuff. Like, I'm old. I don't care about being a Sweat Stain in my pirate adventure game. Yes, PvP is part of the game. Yes, I enjoy that. But if you're going to add in a MMR system, make it fucking work. So for me, I'm never going to get the skeletal curse. There's a lot of people out there who won't. And furthermore, they don't think about the past. People grind out these voyages and then stop fucking doing them. In fact, in the past month and a half of season 16, you know how many of these voyages I've seen being done on the servers when I play? 0. So how are you supposed to steal these skulls with your skeletal curse, even if you have the skeletal curse, when no one's fucking doing the voyages anymore? It's just like previous content that they've had where you have to steal something. After the first, maybe 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks, people aren't doing it anymore. Thus, the grind just to be a grind now becomes an impossible slog that is just painful and annoying to do. Like most voyage content, in 3 months, few people will still be doing these voyages, so those without the Skelly Curse will be forever unable to complete these. Now, some people will say, Hourglasses have been out for a long time. You should have your curse. I'm sure there's some of you thinking that right now. My counter to that is still, your MMR system sucks. And I'm not going to go into a system that sucks and just get shit on every single time. Well, getting better, noob. You know what? I got a full-time job. I have a fucking family. I've got shit to do. I'm not going to sit here and grow out a neck beard and sweat from my armpits to be better at a game that's fundamentally broken as is. I ain't got time for that shit. I was a competitive raider back in the day in World of Warcraft. I ain't got time for that shit. There is more important things to do in life than sit here and figure out how to hot swap your Eye of Reach into your pistol so you can go and shoot 2 bullets instead of 1. It's a miserable PvP experience. Furthermore, for me, I'm no longer a commendation hunter because of the way they've designed these commendations. They've totally turned me off from that system. It's funny, my crew always asks me what commendations I do, and I'm like, I don't know. What commendations do you need to do today, Davrim? I don't know. Pick one, because I probably still have to do it. At the end of the day, Rare is not thinking and learning from what they've done in the past. They're making the same mistakes over and over and over again, and they're causing poor overall player experience. And they were riding that ship when it came to commendations. They designed commendations well in 15. Hell, most of the commendations in 16 were done well. Except the grindy dependency ones. I mentioned earlier about the lore podcast and the team being detached from the average player's experience. Here's another example of a cool concept, stealing a skull, whatever, that only pertains to a very small portion of the player base. Rare is detached from the average player of their game. Let me say that again. Rare is detached from the average player of their game. They're not detached from the Sea of Thieves shop people. They're not detached from their favorite partners. They're not detached from the people who kiss their ass and lick their butt cheeks on social media. They're not detached from those folks. They're detached from the average player base of their game. And you can see it. You can see it. I want to touch on something that that kind of hits home just because I've been a Destiny 2 fan for a while. I'm not good at Destiny 2. I like the game. You can probably see, if you're watching the YouTube, kind of in the darkness back here, I have a whole shelf. It's about 4 foot long, and it's every Ghost model that they've ever put out. I love Destiny 2. I love the story that they tell. Destiny 2 seasonal content has engaging stories and engaging characters every single season. And their season is only, 3 months long. Now, I understand Destiny 2's team is a little bit bigger than Rare's. I think it's double the size of Rare's, so I get it. But Rare can do better. They need to think about how to engage players and not just provide a grind for a grind and layer that on top of shitty performing servers. I will give them credit. Season 16, after their hotfix and launch, servers have felt pretty good to me. I mean, we've got, 1 month left of Season 16? And I've been pretty impressed throughout all of Season 16 of the server performance. So kudos there. I feel like the servers feel relatively good. I haven't had too many issues. I get that little annoying icon in the top, but again, it doesn't appear to be affecting me that bad as far as rubber banding and everything. Going back to that other podcast, as they went around the table, it was nice to finally hear some shout outs with the community team. Again, a community team that, in my opinion, is so bad at their jobs. But finally, they had someone new on the show. I don't remember his name. Nice guy. Met him over at Sea of Thieves Fest in their first year. Very nice guy. Great family. Great family. And he took the time, because, again, he's not part of the lore team, but he was there. And he spoke, and I love the fact that he gave shout-outs to the lore historians that talk on social media, write up articles such as Deadeye Dre, Mel, Ancient Isle University, those type of programs and people. Like, that was fantastic. That's what a community team should be doing. Not talking about stools and fireworks. Not doing horrible jobs at voting SOT shot contests because they have their favorite people. That podcast that they did, and if you haven't watched it yet, the official Sea of Thieves podcast when they talked about lore, go back and watch it. And tell me, after you've listened to what I've called out, tell me that you believe what they're talking about. Tell me that you truly believe that when they talk about game design and narrative teams have been working more closely together. Yeah, maybe. But with the narrative team and game design working closely together, what does that mean? You're putting more little skulls and bits and bobs around that people have to find and figure out what the fuck they mean? Give me a story that the game, inside the game, pushes me forward in an engaging story. I don't believe anything that they say anymore because I haven't seen it come to fruition, and the game is in that coffin with the nails and the hammer nearby. Final thing I want to talk about. As soon after that lore update, they had a dev update with Drew. Now, mind you, I think Drew is a champion. I think they throw that poor man to the sharks constantly. Because so many times they put him out there to say, oh, sorry, it didn't work out. Oh, sorry, it didn't work out. Oh, sorry, that just didn't hit it just didn't hit the mark for us. Oh, yeah, we tried and it just broke. That man has to apologize every time he is on camera. He's a champion in that matter. But in the same regards, his words are getting cheap. I can only hear an apology and we're going to do better so many times. And I'm at the point now where I just literally, here we go, wrestling again. Every time he says a sentence, I want to just go, when? Oh yeah, we're gonna work on the server performance, and we're really focused to make sure we fix the hit registration issues, and we've got a great team. We're gonna when? Oh well, you know we're really focused on minimizing cheaters and improving the overall hourglass. When? We're hiring this QA team that's going to come directly from the community and the CEO. When? Like, when is it going to happen? I mentioned, I will give them credit. Sea of Thieves servers felt pretty good this season. They were shitty in season 15. We had a rocky start in the first couple of days of 16, but now they seem to have stabilized. What are we going to see in 17? Are we going to see backtracking, or are we going to see progress forward on server stability? But it can't just be one thing. It can't just be one thing. It can't be a light switch where they flip the server stability light on and they flip down the storytelling. And then the next season, they flip up the storytelling and flip down the stability. Like, we have to be on like a soundboard. We have to be pushing all faders up together slowly. So we're progressing the game and making it overall better all the time. I do appreciate them being faster on the hot fixes instead of waiting like they used to do. But I'm getting to the point where I don't even, I think he's the right man in that position. I don't think he has any power to make decisions. I don't know who has the power now to make decisions over there. I really don't. Because for a long time, I thought it was Mike, because we were getting a lot of story and the game was falling apart. Now, we're getting certain things fixed, but there's no story. Like, it's a mixed bag. It feels like every single season or every single couple months, they just reach in a bag and they're like, and this quarter's winner is Bob from HR. Hey, Bob, you're making all the decisions for what we're going to do with Sea of Thieves in season 18, okay? All the decisions are yours. You get to choose what's shitty, what's not shitty. You get to decide the roadmap. You get to decide what features come in. And you know what? If it sucks, don't worry. Drew's really good on the camera. He'll apologize to players. We're good. Thanks, Bob. That's what I feel like. That's what I feel like they're doing to make these decisions. And it's just absolutely mind-boggling to me. It's absolutely mind-boggling to me. Well, it's been a hot minute. We got through that. I've got some cool things coming for you guys. Don't you worry. Don't you worry. I've got to reach out to my buddy Captain Logan, and I have to take a minute. So, Logan, if you've been living under a rock for the past 7 years, Logan's not only a good friend of mine, but he has the longest running Sea of Thieves podcast, the most successful Sea of Thieves podcast in the world, Keelhold podcast. If you're not listening to that, go listen to him. He just recently had Mike Chapman on. You know, I've given up on trying to talk to Rare because every single time I do, it's months upon months of not hearing from them and then getting an email back and saying, oh yeah, we're working on it. And then not hearing from them and then getting an email back. Oh yeah, we're still working on it. I just gave up. Like they shut down their influencer Discord for no fucking reason whatsoever without even giving it a shot. They don't respond to their emails. Like I said, the community team just sucks at their jobs. They just really do. They're horrible at it. They're awful. And Logan, bless his heart, he works his ass off to get interviews from people at Rare, and literally where I'm basically like, look, your entire job that you're getting paid for is to community manage, which means me, a member of the community running a pretty damn successful Sea of Thieves show, is asking to talk to some of your developers. So, I'm not sitting here and bashing the studio all the time. Maybe give me access to someone to talk to them in a professional manner and get some actual fucking answers. No, we'll just put them off, because you can't fucking manage a community because you suck at your jobs. Maybe fire them and get some new leadership over there that can actually drive this game in a positive direction. I don't know. They're clearly, their return on investment is very low in that community team. They can probably reallocate that money to something much more productive. But back to Logan. He just recently had Mike Chapman on, which was an excellent episode where Mike did dive into some of the tougher questions, and just a really good show. But Logan puts out a great quality show. But I talk to Logan pretty much every single week, and I had a phone call with him not too long ago, and it was when I was struggling with this script, when I was struggling going through, and man, it's like every time I write something, I hate it, and I just rip it up. And then I write something else, and I hate it, and I just rip it up. And I write something else, and I hate it, and I just rip it up. And, and he just literally says, hey, just hit the damn button. I'm like, what? He's like, hit the record button. You don't have to knock it out of the park every time. It doesn't have to be a perfect script. It doesn't have to be perfect every time. Just hit the damn record button. And that has literally been playing around in my head for a couple weeks now. Because it hit me. There's several projects that I've wanted to do for years. Years I've wanted to do several projects. I've wanted to do MMO content on YouTube. I wanted to do a history kind of podcast or a history thing. I wanted to write like a blog and just, not journal, but just write some of my life experiences that I've been through that I think will help other people, and some of my leadership pro tips and just career advice and things like write about history and the books I'm reading and things like that. And he just push the damn button. And so I've pushed the damn button, and here we go. Here's an episode. And there's other things that are going on as well. Like you can obviously check out the Patreon, but I have a Substack now. I'm writing on a Substack, so you can check that out. What is it? I think it's davrim.substack.com. Right now I'm kind of giving you a little behind the curtain of my life with my weight struggles that I went through. Trust me, I shaved the other day, and yes, I have a very pronounced double chin. Trust me, it was far worse a long time ago, and I went through a lot, and I'm kind of telling the stories about some of my challenges, or I'm writing the stories about some of the challenges. And trust me, I'm not a professional writer, but I want to be able to share things that might help other people and inspire other people, and things like that. I know I'm not, people comment all the time on my YouTube videos. I don't really read the comments unless I'm specifically in the YouTube console for something specific. And, people are like, oh, you don't get very many views. Oh, you don't get very, you should stop doing this. You know what? It's that one person who tunes into the stream, or that one person who listens to this show, and it puts a smile on their face or makes a fist bump. Yeah, he's right about that, or they learn something from my writings. And so I just want to take a moment and thank Captain Logan for just slapping me in the face, not literally, because, he's smaller than me and I'm bigger than him, and he knows not to do that. But just, metaphorically slapping me in the face and just say, hit the damn button, just do it. And so I have. So I appreciate you, Logan, very much. You're a dear friend of mine, and I really thank you for the kind words and always the open ear. So, but it's gonna do it for today. Next episode, I'm gonna do at least part of the episode as a mailbag. So I know I've got a couple emails, a couple messages on Patreon, people asking questions. So if you would like to submit a question, you can join the Discord. You can send me an email. You can find me on Blue Sky. Don't leave a YouTube comment. because I promise you, I'm not going to read it. Just letting you know, just being honest, being transparent. YouTube comments are usually a cesspool of disgusting, toxic shit, so I just don't read them. Best way to get in contact is email, and that would be piratetalkradio@gmail.com. You can also find the email in the show notes. In the show notes. In fact, I might have just read that email wrong. Did I read my own email wrong? I did. It's piratetalkradiopodcast@gmail.com. Yes, I'm working on a different, shorter email, but anyways. Send your questions in about Sea of Thieves. Send your questions in, and we'll do some sort of mailbag, at least partial episode on that. But I do have a really cool idea episode coming up, and I want to chat with Mr. Logan and get him to sit down. I'm super inspired by the stories from a podcast network out there on the iHeartRadio world. There are a lot of history and politics podcasts. It's Cool Zone Media, and the stories that Robert Evans, he's a wartime reporter, that he does a series called Behind the Bastards. If you like history, it's a great podcast. But I'm going to try to get Logan on, and we're going to try to predict and discuss the sovereigns and the Grand Maritime Union very, very soon. And that should be a nice, fun episode. And it'll be in kind of the style of Behind the Bastards and nice storytelling. So thank you again for your patience as I got this episode together. If you are a patron, please do type in the chat over on the Patreon. There's a chat that you can type to me. Drop your questions there. For everyone else, or topics, if you've got topics you want me to cover. For everyone else, hit up the email, piratetalkradiopodcast@gmail.com. And remember, please, in this crazy, horrible timeline that we're living in right now, please remember to take care of yourselves and each other. And I will see you next time on Pirate Talk Radio.